Motorcycle crash? Call Selena.
Let's clear the shelters. Adopt or donate today.
Eyes up. Attack quick. Let's go, Lou. Give me some juice. Stay low, step the contact. Set the angle. He can bring it down. Yes, I can. Make sure he's set. Move it. Use that stiff arm when you need it.
Training camp brought to you by Hospital for Special Surgery. I'm Bob Papa. Big show lined up for you. Sean O'Hara goes on the field with Jermaine Illuminor, plus Tay Banks wired for sound. But to get things started, as always, we're joined by the head coach of the New York Giants, Brian Daboll. And Coach, earlier in the week, you had a chance to have a one-day practice with the Jets. You played them in a preseason game. Just talk about how important all that is as far as player evaluation, because you got to get to cutdown day coming up this week.
Yeah, you know, everything matters. So when you can get some good reps against other competition, we've talked about that when we practiced against Detroit. That was important for us, and you know they'll have one more game to go out there and show what they can do, and then you know you kind of cut it down to what you want your team to be.
Not that I'm looking to anoint anybody, but Elijah Chapman, you had told us in our TV production meeting, you wanted to see some of these guys that are running with the 2s and 3s to play with the 1s. He was in there with Dexter Lawrence, drew an offensive holding penalty, and then he obviously made that hustle play. Are those the things that you were kind of talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for any young player that is earning a role on this team or trying to make a roster spot, you want to see him against the best competition you can. And look, whether it's him or for other rookies, you know,
out at the Democratic National Convention.
I realized Trump was a direct threat to democracy, and his actions disqualified him from ever stepping.
Joining us now are Matthew Dowd, a senior MSNBC political analyst and former chief strategist for the Bush-Cheney campaign, and Marcus Childress, former investigative counsel for the January 6th committee. Matthew, it had to be surprising to you to see so many Republicans, not just former Republicans, but actual Republicans on a Democrats convention stage this week.
Yeah, it was very heartening to see that they're basically crossing the aisle in order to preserve democracy and preserve our Constitution, this country. And I have to we need to give credit to these folks. It takes a ton of courage for people like Jeff Duncan, Adam Kinzinger, and others to do this, because we all know how alienated they will be among fellow Republicans who don't seem to have the courage to do this in this moment of it. And so I hope it sends a signal to other Republicans who may be sitting on the fence and wondering whether or not they should cross over and do the same. I know it will send a great signal to independent voters, which is probably more important. It basically tells independent voters, listen, there is a candidate in this race who is going to achieve bipartisan things and protect our democracy in a bipartisan way. And so it took a lot of courage. I was very heartened to see it. It's a great moment for them to do this, and I sure hope